session and then motion to come back into open session. We do have an appointment at 6:30, so we're going to try to get a couple of items done prior to that. First order of business would be the consent agenda. And for the consent agenda this evening, we have approval of the minutes from September 4th, 18th, October 2nd, and 7th, 2024. And we have the appointment of Matthew Waldrop to the Hadley Affordable Housing Trust trustees.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, motion made by Jane and seconded by Amy. Any further discussion? If not,
David's not here.
David is not online, so we can go without a roll call vote, I believe. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Mike, I don't want to cut you short, so I'm going to wait a little bit for yours. Okay. If we could move down to new business item 7.2. The Department of Public Works, via Scott McCarthy, has asked the select board to accept the resignation of the following employee, and that would be Seth Wright. Would anybody like to make a
Motion to accept the resignation of Seth Wright.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Randy and seconded by Amy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also under new business. In executive session, we just voted, we have 2 new bargaining units that have formed in the town. The first one is, we've voted to ratify a collective bargaining agreement for the UPSU Local 424. Unite MAD.
It's unit, I'm sorry.
Hmm?
I added an E, it's just unit.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
And this is a 1-year contract for the period from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th of 2025. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Randy and seconded by Amy. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then the second collective bargaining agreement. Again, in executive session, we voted, and in open session, we'll be voting to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the International Association of Firefighters, Local 5486, AFL-CIO, also for a period of 1 year from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th of 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion made by Jane, seconded by Amy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fire ban. Time for that one.
No, I'm putting it close.
In the next.
So is there anyone here for public comment this evening? No? Okay. So we'll skip over public comment then. It doesn't appear there's anyone here. And then we do have old business item 6.1, Jennifer.
Yes, this is an announcement that y'all have to make for the executive session minutes. Attached to this is a list of all executive session minutes from 2019 through 2024, with the exclusion of 3 minutes that are still with council. And I'm going to ask y'all to take those up at your next meeting or to do a short meeting during the day sometime in the next week. So per council, y'all need to announce that you're releasing them and refer to the list that is attached there. The reasons why they're being withheld are beside them when you look at the master list.
For purposes of a vote, do we actually have to read all of these?
No, and you
We
also,
can just refer to the attachment,
yes,
and that's public record on.
absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
So moved.
Second. All right, motion made by Amy and seconded by Jane. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will have all the appropriate ones up on the website, probably next Friday. I'll try to get them up before then, but just with town meeting prep. But they are released, and if I get a request, I can release them in advance. It's just, it takes a while to get everything loaded.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that sounds good. We still have a few minutes, so if you'll indulge me, I'm going to skip to announcements. And do have one, and we can, if there are more, we can still cover these later on in the meeting. But Jessica Spanknabel, our town clerk, has requested that we make an announcement coming off of the recent election. And so from Jessica's standpoint, she just wants to make sure that everybody understands that the election process actually started back in January of 2024 and officially ends on November 15th, which happens to be the day after our special town meeting. So town clerk's doing double duty here. But she wanted to make sure that special thanks went out to Janice Kangas, who will be sorely missed when she retires in January. Patricia Combs, who passed her election coordinator baton off to Linda Klemick in August of 2024, and Linda seems to be working out quite well. Also, a special thanks to Gary Berg and Eddie Keeler, who were always one step ahead of Jessica, according to her, to set up and do the marquee announcements, et cetera. Officers Mitch West and Tommy Douglas, whose outgoing personalities and interaction with the public, and negated the fact that some might be concerned that there was a police presence at our polls, but they did a fine job. They were certainly smiling when I went through. And then our Warden Stanley Kostek and our Constable Bill Bannock, who are always invaluable assets in every election. Jessica also wants to thank the staff of the Senior Center, who are always very accommodating. And to all of the election workers, pollsters, et cetera, whose nonpartisan professionalism with an over 80% turnout for the town, it's pretty incredible, ultimately made the town clerk and her office look good. So Jessica wants to extend her sincere appreciation to all of them. And I think it's certainly appropriate that we all extend our appreciation to our town clerk, Jessica. Pretty amazing feat and went off without a hitch. So
agree.
Jessica, thank you, and to everybody involved in the process.
She said that the longest wait was about 5 to 6 minutes.
Wow.
For 80% turnout is pretty incredible. She runs a tight ship.
Great.
We had a big burden.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, look at that, 6:30.
Nice job.
Well timed.
Well timed. Okay, so this evening we have a presentation from Good Energy. I always remember the name, forget the name of the new company. From Good Energy, and this is the information about our new community electrical aggregation. All right, so John, you want to take it away?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Town Administrator, for allowing me to come before you this evening to give you a brief update on the renewal of the electricity aggregation coming up. Jennifer, do we have a projection?
Yep.
There we go.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Oh, it just hasn't caught up with the view. Alex, it's not sharing correctly. Sorry, it's showing correctly on my screen, but not on y'all's. So when I go big, it doesn't quit. My apologies.
It's okay. I mean, if you can't get it to go to the full screen mode, that's.
That's fine where it is, Jennifer.
Yeah.
We can see it. At least I can.
All right, that's weird.
Yeah. I can at least make it bigger there. Sorry, John.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay,
I just want to go over a brief presentation. Next screen. We'll just go over the program summary, a review of the new contract, and a little outreach timeline. Next screen. The program, the current contract for the program, which started in November 2021 and extends to the meter read date in December, this December, was at a rate of 10.47 per kilowatt hour. And that met all the requirements for renewable energy standards here in Massachusetts. The supplier for that contract is Constellation. The renewal contract, which starts on the meter read date in December and goes until December 2027, is at a rate of 12.8, and the supplier for that is Direct Energy. Since the program launch in 2019, the approximate savings per residential account was about $1,000. We have to say that savings are not guaranteed, but certainly we look forward to success in all our aggregations, and we've done fairly well here in Hadley. The rate right now for Eversource is 14.02 per kilowatt hour. That started in August of this year and extends until January 2025. In December, they should announce the new rate, which will start on February 1 for that. Next screen. The products that are coming up for the renewal, that's the 12.8, which is the basic, which most of your residents are in. That has no additional renewable energy, but it satisfies the requirement for renewable energy here in Massachusetts. Those who want 100% green can go into the Hadley 100% green product that's at 14.13. That adds voluntary renewable energy up to 100%. And that's done with Massachusetts Class 1 renewable energy certificates. To continue in the program, participants need to take no action. They remain in the product that they're in now. If they want to change products, they can go to the website and fill out an enrollment or change form to change either going up or going down in those products. Our next steps early in November. The town will issue a press release that we will give to the town. We will write for the town, and of course you can edit that as you wish. With the renewal update information between November 8 and 12. Program supplier Direct Energy will mail all current participants a letter with the renewed program pricing and instructions on how to change participation. The December meter read for most will be December the 3rd, and that's when the new prices take effect. And those will be on the January bill for the people with fee, and I will say again.
John, excuse me, just a question.
So the town is going to issue a press release that you are supplying to the town.
Thank you.
I would encourage the town to release that just before the letters come out, so people know what it is.
Well, so it actually has been released.
Okay,
Today was the day that it went out,
okay,
so it's already been released.
and will it be in the paper?
I sent it to Scott Mersbach. There's no guarantee that
Okay.
something will be in the paper,
All right,
but it did. Everybody should have gotten an email from the town today telling them about it just a little while ago.
oh, okay,
Go
thank you.
ahead.
That was it. Thank you.
In the appendix, you can see that this is the renewable energy content in both of the products. Actually, any product in Massachusetts today has 62% renewable energy, made up of Class 1, about 24%, and about 38% of other required renewables, which the state has recently crowned as an addition to those Class 1 renewables. So everyone, no matter where you get your electricity from, you'll have 62% renewable in that, right, in that energy. The 100% green has an additional voluntary class 1 rec of 38% to get it up to the 100%. So you have the 24, the 38 of other required, and the voluntary Massachusetts class 1 at 38%, for a total of 100%. So that's the way the program is working out. We've had a lot of success with the program, and as I mentioned, although savings cannot be guaranteed, savings in the program per residential account since the beginning in 2019, about $1,000 perhaps. Question?
No, so I think, again, the main thing that people need to know is they don't need to do anything. The only action they would need to take is if they voluntarily choose to change to the 100% green
Exactly.
program.
Madam Chair. Yeah, essentially, you'll roll over into the product that you're in now. If you want to change that product, there's a form on the website to do that. Or you can simply call the supplier and they'll change it. All right, but most people, probably 99% of your residents and small businesses don't have to do anything. They'll just roll over to the product. Other questions?
Any questions for John this evening?
Aye.
Okay. If not, thank you as always for your good work for our town.
Thank you, Madam
Appreciate it.
Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Town Administrator.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Jennifer, I have to make.
Let's get ready.
Thank you very much, John. Good seeing you. Take care.
All right, next on the agenda, we're going to spend a little bit of quality time with our fire chief. Chief Spank Nabel, you're here to educate. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak quickly. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are in a current pretty serious crisis with the dry weather that we have going on in our region. A public notice was sent out on all of our formats yesterday, and it's available on the Hadley website, hadleyma.gov. We are currently experiencing moderate drought conditions, and with this, we are seeing a substantial increase in wildfires right now across the state. Fires that we haven't seen in parts of the state that are just for those spaces quite enormous and very difficult to handle. I can tell you in the last 24 hours, we've had 17 fires start up with, doesn't seem like a large area, but when you have that many start up, it's try to make a quick stop on it, but with 2.7 acres burned. And in the past 7 days, up 88 fires with 198 acres burned. So what I'm asking is, basically, we've been working with Mass Emergency Management, Department of Conservation and Recreation. That's the Bureau of Forest Fire Control, the State Fire Marshal's Office, and we just wanted to get out to everyone that we are now in a burn ban for the town of Hadley. That means no open burning. That means, unfortunately, we will not be issuing any agricultural burns at this time. We're asking you not to fire up your chimneys, your outdoor fireplaces, open cooking and heating equipment, and then any kind of recreational fires. We're asking you to hold off until we get some rain that can soak this dry ground right now. Under the provisions of the Massachusetts Comprehensive Fire Safety Code, there is a section which, if the authority having jurisdiction, which would be the fire chief, in coordination with the select board, we feel that there is a hazard to life and property. That's why we put this document together. We have signs up. The police department was nice enough to get some of their signs up on Rocky Hill notifying you that there's a burn ban. So at a minimum through this Friday and most likely through the weekend, potentially into next week, we are briefed daily by weather. DCR, the state forest warden, Chief Salino, gives us an update along with Department of Fire Services, the state fire marshal. And we are not seeing any substantial rain coming in for possibly the next 10 days. Just so you know, the town of Hadley, the fire department has been working for the past 4 days over in the city of Northampton, assisting with their fire. It's the Fitzgerald fire. Tomorrow will be the first day that we'll be standing down and assisting them. We've had between 4 to 8 crews there from all over Hampshire County daily with tanker task forces on reserve in case that fire spread to the Coles Meadow Road section of their community. And the chief just did reach out, thanking all of you for the support from the town of Hadley and the towns around us. Our mutual aid agreement is critical for us for staffing. So he wanted to say thank you for our support. And he was very happy to work with our folks. We have a great crew of folks that went over. I can't thank them enough for taking the time to do it. So I would request that you spread the word, please, even be cautious when you're mowing your lawns, make sure your mowers are cleared out, make sure that you're just being above and beyond critical about keeping any kind of sparks or fire related materials that could start a fire. Smoking, if you have to smoke, make sure that you're extinguishing it properly, and hopefully we won't hear from you. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the fire department, and we are online on Facebook, and Jennifer has been great about making sure the information is put up daily. So thank you.
And you said there are no agricultural exemptions either, right? Because this is a kind of life safety issue.
That's correct. At this point, it's 0 burns. And this is across the state. This is
Right.
not just in the town of Hadley. You will most likely see a red flag. You'll probably see it on the weather tomorrow. Today, we had a full red flag, which is basically there's no burning throughout the state. You'll most likely see that tomorrow as well. I can tell you that the concerns are with the temperatures that we have, and these mild winds, which go up and down, are really, it's not only drying it out, dropping the relative humidity, but it's just creating this. I mean, a fire that's starting in a small patch of leaves right now is traveling so quickly. And then you see the leaf litter that's just coming down like snow. All that's going back up in a fire scenario, which then spreads further. So I appreciate any help you can do.
You said you're asking, well, are you asking or mandating this ban?
The ban is mandating. What I'm asking for folks is to be vigilant.
Okay,
So if you're out and about and you see somebody that's burning, call it into the, on the business line so we can go out and investigate. Again, we have folks that rent properties here that may not be a part of our website and stuff like that. We are going to be going out and placing some letters in certain areas. Again, we try to educate rather than fine, but there are fines related with this if it continues to happen. The first, you get 1 free and please stop and put it out, but there's no second chances on this one. So,
okay.
All right. and,
Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Sorry, before you step away, I believe that town administrator is going to accelerate part of the town administrator report while you're here for a moment.
I can just go backwards if you want. We do this first, or you want me to fly through the rest of it?
No, I just want you to,
So, I just want to read something to you all. I think it's important to note this. So I'm going to read it to you in report form, and then I'll explain a little bit if there's any questions. So last Friday, I happened to be listening to my radio when I was driving home, and then I spoke with Deputy Chief Bryant today. And he passed along some information for me that I think everybody should hear. Northampton Fire requested our fire department boat to be deployed for a male party that was struggling to swim in the Connecticut River. C1, C2, Utility 1 with boat and Action Med 1 responded. Northampton Fire received a 911 call from someone who witnessed the person in the water. All units responded to Sportsman's Marina to look for the party. And you should know that the reason that Northampton was unable to respond was because of the fires that they were dealing with over the weekend. Chief Spanknable and I, Deputy Chief Bryant, saw the person swimming and struggling. Hadley Police also responded to the scene. I advised that we had eyes on the party, and Northampton Fire also responded to Sportsman's Marina. Chief Spanknable was able to throw a buoy from a boat to the party and hold on to it. I don't know if he stole it or if he had one. So So we'll wait for a call on that part of it. We told the party to hold on to the buoy and kick his feet with the current to push him towards the shore. Utility one with a boat arrived on scene and deployed. Boat one was able to get the party into the boat and bring him to the dock where Action Med One was located. Action Med One took over patient care and transported the CDH with the deputy chief driving the ambulance. All other units cleared the scene. When I spoke with the deputy a little bit more about specifics of the incident, he told me that, you know, the report doesn't actually do justice of what actually happened. When he says that the individual was struggling, it was a little bit more of just a struggle. And the fire chief worked pretty hard to keep him above water and start to reel him in, to the point where the deputy chief said that he almost had to jump into the water to go after him. The fire chief refused to allow that to happen because then he would have been having to save two people. But I think it's important that he be recognized here and before the board for his actions the other day. So it's pretty amazing.
Just doing your job, I get it, but, you know, sometimes we go above and beyond. Thank you.
The other folks too was a.
Yep.
So thank you.
You can do that for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and please extend our appreciation too for your entire staff, because again, these things happen, it's Mother Nature.
Good.
And thank God for mutual aid.
Yes, thank you very much.
Before you get to your report.
Mhm.
So just kind of, well, part of your report, but I'm gonna steal part of Mike's report. Just for the board, I think you recall when the transition was occurring, there was a handoff made from the previous town administrator, and a rather lengthy list was given of items that were, you know, either in process or outstanding, hadn't been started or whatever. So just wanted everybody to know what's been accomplished. Besides what else Mike will fill in the blanks on in the past basically 2 months. So new human resource director was hired. We're in the final review of the employee handbook, which has been outstanding for a couple of years now. Special town meeting warrant obviously is completed. We'll be covering that tonight. An intern was hired and she's been working and actually getting things done, been very constructive. The assessor's job was posted, applications are being reviewed. The opioid funding has been accessed and the annual report for that has been completed. The assistant treasurer and building permit coordinator jobs were split. So one's been filled, one's posted right now. The in-house finance team had kind of, wasn't meeting on as regular a basis as they had been. So that has now been resumed. The succession plan with the Collins Center, or the form of government committee, that is underway. Benefits coordinator position was posted and applicants are currently being reviewed. Both of the union negotiations we approved tonight, contracts have been ratified again. That's been multi-year process in some cases. Policies have been completed in draft form, which we haven't reviewed yet, but they're coming soon to a theater near us. Townwide communication policy, donation of land policy, job description review and appeal process, and severe weather closing policy. The Russell School study is underway and we're expecting a report by the holidays. Town hall cameras are being moved over to the public safety complex for monitoring. That's finally in process. Senator Comerford and the legislative delegation have been re-engaged around specific issues like the sludge costs and environmental bond bill. And 234 Middle Street, the property that we purchased, you're aware that there were some issues around that sale, and that is now complete and taken care of. And the Hockenham Road Cemetery fence has been completed. So again, when we said we were going to try to make sure that the town didn't stand still while we were looking for our ultimate long-term replacement, I just wanted to thank our acting town administrator for getting a few things done. And I thought the public should know about it.
Well, I like to echo what Mike just said, that it's also a team effort in town hall and you have some really amazing employees in there. Um, Certainly helped me get my head around things and move things forward and do a lot of the work. Jennifer and Linda were amazing. So the town warrant specifically, so yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, so you want to fill in any of the blanks that
I honestly, I don't think there's any blanks. You did fantastic. I don't know if you looked at the last one that I did, but I think you hit. I honestly don't see. The only thing that I would add is that service delivery plan. I think we're gonna be ready to put it on for you review at at a November meeting, one of the November meetings. And I mean, honestly, that's it. I have I'll be getting the final report on the levy rehab very soon. He's finishing it up and he'll get it to me. But other than that, we've got it all.
All right, well, thanks to you and all the department heads and other municipal employees who are keeping things moving.
Yes.
All right, so that's the town administrator's report. Select board members liaison report. Does anybody have anything that they want to share? No, Housing and Economic Development Committee, our next meeting is the 21st of November. And I think we may be having on the agenda an update on the Farmers Planned project. Still call it the Hadley Village Barn Shops. I've lived here too long, but you know, at their property down the street, so that may be added to the agenda for that. Nothing else for anybody?
Nope.
No. And if not, then announcements. I already did the one for the town clerk. Does anybody have anything else? Got like 5 minutes. We wanna. Ladies round. No,
You got everything covered, right?
we've got everything
Except for
covered.
the form? Well,
So make a motion to adjourn, right? Do we adjourn or do we?
No, you're just staying there. You're
Yeah,
still.
we're just gonna continue.
Take a break.
I mean, so if anybody wants to take a motion,
Motion for recess?
yeah, a brief recess, you can leave the meeting live and we will be back.
we'll be back.
a special town meeting, which will be held a week from tomorrow at Hopkins Academy at 7 o'clock. So Jennifer is going to put up, we have a PowerPoint presentation, and then Michael, turn it over to you to
Yep.
start. And the plan this evening is whatever the division of motions says. We'll cover it that way. Okay.
Okay. So, special town meeting is, going to be, it obviously is going to be on November 14th at 7 PM. The intent of this forum is to go over the warrant for town meeting. It's going to provide residents, with an overview of what the articles are going to be at annual town meeting and improve your understanding of what we're going to be talking about, and also offer an opportunity to ask any questions. You can also take any vote, favorable or unfavorable, other than the select board's recommendation. Provide any group or individual the opportunity to advocate for a particular article and speak for or against any article. We'll follow the division of motions as it's set for the select board. Amy, if you want to jump in on Articles 1 and 2, you and I are going to handle those at town meeting, but I'll just run through them. So Article 1 is your general fund budget. It's your omnibus budget. And you see the recommendations up there. The select board voted 4-0-0. The finance committee voted 5-0-0 for Article 1. Essentially what this is adding funding to the FY25 general fund budget. The total for the FY25 budget to be added is $268,102. And those 4 bullet points that you see up there are the kind of the descriptions of what we did and how we adjusted things through the finance committee and through the select board to get to that total. With these adjustments in Article 1, it leaves $681,922 in free cash to move into FY26.
Mike, if I could just, for clarification, on the votes by the select board, I wasn't physically present at the meeting when the votes were taken, but I can just let everybody know that you can assume all of the select board votes would actually be 5-0 had I been here.
Perfect. Article 2, essentially very similar to Article 1, except these are your enterprise fund budgets. There are only 3 enterprise funds which are being adjusted for Article 2, your sewer, your water, and Hadley Media. And again, this one's, I'll make the adjustments with what Molly just said. Select board approved this 5-0-0 and finance committee approved this 5-0-0 as well. You'll see in those bullet points, the adjustments that were made to come up with the total number. Did I actually read the total number yet? $169,639 is the total adjustment. And those bullet points cover the reasons and from which account they'll be coming from. That middle one, Molly brought up a moment ago about sludge expense increases. For those of you who are unaware, we are experiencing approximately a 16% jump in costs for sludge expenses. And so that adjustment is necessary just to get us through the rest of FY25. Questions on that one? No? Okay. Article 3, very common article. This is your cleanup of prior balances article. The total for these 3 cleanups, essentially, this is money that is that it was in account that was allocated for a certain reason. All 3 of these items will be being moved back into your water reserve accounts And the total for this is $63,361.55. I'm not sure that that total is actually up there, but that was important that folks know since they're all going back into the same place. Article 4 is your capital articles. This is to see if the town will raise and appropriate a total of $946,500 for projects and items that are going to be laid out in the chart below. Alex?
In a correction, there shouldn't be any capital, for Highland Media. That $5,000 is coming out, it's in their budget increase, capital increase.
Where do you see that?
We'll take this up later, but this has already been voted on for this, so we'll correct if need be at town meeting, but we'll just stick with this right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So Article 4, the total again is $946,500. You will see several different departments identified up there and several different items and issues being taken up. There are 4. Let's see. The funding, so there are a few different funding sources that we're going to be taking, that we're going to be requesting money from. 224,000 from water reserves. These are totals. 30,000 from sewer reserves. 460,000 will be borrowed within the levy, and 232,500 to be borrowed and repaid from water. Most capital projects, and I'll explain this a little bit more at town meeting, just to kind of guide people through the process. But all of these capital requests go through essentially a 5-point process, approval process. I can get really in depth with it, but I don't think anybody really wants to hear it. But essentially what it comes down to is that what you see in front of you for these capital items kind of showed the finance committee, the capital committee, your treasurer, your town administrator, and your select board basically proved to them that these items are needed and they are needed this year. It doesn't necessarily mean that every single person in all of those groups agreed with every single item on the list, but you can rest assured that they convinced, the department had certainly convinced enough people to land this item on the list. Probably the most important thing that I've heard said in a lot of different town meetings in the past is that none of these requests will impact your taxes. They are either borrowed within the levy or they will come from some type of reserve account. With Article 4 and Article 2, with all of those requests, I think it's important that people know that these requests will leave you with $681,922 in free cash, $816,766 in your water reserve account, $27,771 in your sewer reserves, and $91,525 in your Hadley media reserves. Happy to answer any questions on Article 4. Good. All right. 4.2 is simply a redirection of funds that had already been requested and approved at town meeting in 2022. This is a redirection of $310,000, which was requested to paint the Mount Holyoke water tanks. And the request is to redirect those funds to designing and constructing 2 new water storage tanks rather than painting them. Any questions on 4.2?
All right,
Hearing none. Yes, the next one is James.
yeah, Article 5. So this is just a standard one, prior year invoices. So sometimes after the fiscal year closes, we do get additional invoices for the prior fiscal year. So we're looking to pay, transfer and or appropriate the sum of $1,224.63 for prior year invoices that we received in fiscal year 2025 that were supposed to be for fiscal year 2024. No questions. Yeah, I'll read them all out anyway. Line by line.
So Articles 6, 7, 8, and 9, Mary Thayer is here. I don't know if you want to run through them, you can look at the, absolutely, please.
So here's just a general state of where the CPA funds are at right now. For fiscal year 2024, which ended in June 30th, the town paid through the surcharge on real estate taxes, the 3%, $347,332. There was a CPA state match with $175,606. This is the match of the prior year's amount of surcharge. And it was a 53% match. So the total brought in was $522,938. There are earnings on the CPA fund was $79,304. So the total added last year was $682,243. So right now we have our fund balances, our open space reserve is 79,300. Historic reserve is 31,550. The housing reserve is 308,339. And then the undesignated fund balance, which can be used for any of those three categories, is 1,695,017. So the subtotal of what is available in the CPA fund is 2,114,206. We do have approved expenditures of 391,353 for projects already approved that are in process. And we also want to repay the bond that was borrowed for the athletic fields at Hopkins to pay that this fall of $750,000. So that's not included in the above either. So the total CPA fund is $3,255,559. Somebody had asked about, well, how has the CPA funds done since it's been adopted in 2004? So here's a quick summary. The town has contributed $4,818,240. The state has matched about, I think that's actually about 63%. $3,048,823. It's earned investment earnings. So total of $8,421,000. And the total spent on projects so far has been $6,306,925. So that's been a lot of fun for a lot of good projects. And it's also over $3 million that the state has paid Hadley for Hadley to decide how to spend it in the TPA program. So getting into current, this year, what has been done this year, most of these are done or nearly done. The town hall pillars have repaired and painted. The Historic Society's needlework samples have all been preserved. The nice Hadley Historical Commission signs are put around town. The Lake Warner study has been completed, and the Hopkins Academy of playing fields are looking fantastic. The Hockenham fence is also almost just about done. So it's been a lot of projects this year. We do have a couple articles. This one is the Hockenham fence is mostly done. There is just one portion left to do if there were funds available, and there are some. So that has to still be worked out. There was hope to use some of the old stones from the WPA project in the 1930s when this original wall was built to make into a pillar or a bench or something. So that needs to be discussed, but that was part of the project, and so it had been extended until October of 2024. So this is asking we just put 2 years just to give plenty of time. So hopefully not have to come back to that. But that's what this one is. we do have 3 new applications. The first one is at the Hadley Elementary School. The brand new playgrounds are looking amazing. And are certainly enjoyed every day by school children and the community. And right now there's wood chips down. And it's just, they didn't want to wait for a possibility of this floating place to open the playground. So it does have wood chips. There's some disadvantages to wood chips, and I know some people online may be wanting to talk to this too, but I'll quick go through. The wood chips need to be refreshed every year, and every 3 years or so have to be completely taken out and redone. One of the things that happens with wood chips is that probably where they're needed most, they get finished. But as the kids are kicking it with their feet as they slide down the slide, at the bottom of the slide, on the spinning thing on the other playground. There's already a trench where the kids are running under the monkey bars. So when the poured in place rubber is a surface that's been used in a lot of playgrounds. Jessica's Balance Playground is one, and it's solid. Doesn't, it's not a wood chip thing. It's a solid pour. It's easy for anyone with mobility issues to navigate, unlike the wood chips. If they make it thicker under the places where it mostly needs to be, like the bottom of the slides or areas where it's more likely somebody might be tripping. I've seen them I've been here, the playground, and there's already trenches around the spinning and around under the slide. And I've seen some at the port in place playgrounds where the kids are running everywhere and jumping and doing somersaults and it, it just seems like safety wise as well as maintenance wise, there's a lot of advantages to having a ported place. It is an expensive process compared to the wood chips, but the wood chips over 20 years add up to it too. But if they're asking for 290,000 to do the recording, there may be somebody else that, if you have questions, that can answer them more.
I just had a quick question. What's the longevity of that service?
I've heard 20 years or so. I'm not sure it's 20 years old and to be able to actually prove that, but the one in, I think Jessica's was like 2012 or so, so it's already had a good long run.
So I don't see anybody with their hand raised on here.
I think everybody thinks you're doing a fantastic job.
And you are.
As always. Thank you. The next one is from the Hadley Historical Commission, and it's $2,000 to hire a professional to help them come up with a comprehensive preservation plan summary. This is not a detailed description preservation of every single building in town. It's more, this person would tour with them for the town-owned historical buildings and take a look at them, but it's to help the historical commission really talk about where their priorities are, where they're such an energetic group but limited resources, limited time, where can they best spend their time to have the best impact for Hadley. So this is to get, almost like a consultant to help them really schedule where they can best use their efforts. So they've asked for $2,000 to pay for this plan. And then the last one is the town hall and Goodwin Space Needs. Would somebody here, since I'd like to take the lead on that, I can certainly do it, but it's certainly the town hall.
Want me to do it? So before Carolyn left, she had started preparing an application to CPA for a combined town hall and Goodwin space needs study. There had been a study done by the building committee. I don't know the exact name of the committee that several years back. And unfortunately, I believe that study only took into consideration town hall, and this request will take into consideration both buildings to essentially see whether or not we could build out a campus, so to speak, for your municipal workers. So the request was put into CPA and they voted 8-0-0 to approve it.
It's for $80,000. For the CPA.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary.
Really appreciate that.
Was David supposed to do the next one?
He
So-
was, I can take care of it.
Sure.
So Article 10, Special Revenue Fund, and Revolving Fund grant balances, essentially, there are 7 accounts here that have been in the negative for quite some time. Some of them are very old, some of them not so old. But, essentially, each year, the fact that these accounts are in the negative, negatively affect your free cash certification. And so the request is to basically zero these accounts out, put them back to zero with free cash, and then not have to worry about them any longer. The select board recommends, and finance committee both recommend 5-0-0.
And for the record, David Phil has joined us.
Just in time.
I don't mind you letting you talk extra, Mike. That's okay.
All right, welcome, David. Okay, nothing else on Article 10 then?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, Article 11. There are 3 items that comprise a $37,000 ask from free cash to fund various select board projects. The first one is the form of government study. As Mike had mentioned previously, that is actually underway. The intent had been before the end of the last fiscal year that these funds would have been encumbered, but that slipped through the cracks. So we're asking for funding from town meeting. Again, that's being done to the Collins Center. We have a volunteer committee pulled together, and what we're doing is looking at how the town of Hadley functions right now. This kind of who reports to who, what's working, what maybe some folks think might need improvement, with the intent of really just asking ourselves the question, you know, what do other municipalities do across the Commonwealth? You know, we're not the only town, and see if there's any recommendations that come out of that committee back to the select board and ultimately town meeting. Because no changes would be made with town meeting. So we expect this study to continue for, you know, well into 2025. And again, it is underway currently. So that's the 10,000.
I think the one thing that did come up in our last meeting that we just wanted to make clear to everybody, we're not moving away from being, because of our size, we can't change the type of government that we are. We will always be town meeting time and open meeting and all of that. This is more for how do you explain that? I guess like
The more the day-to-day operation.
yeah,
town
day-to-day
hall.
operations, not how the town runs as a whole, as the form of government.
Mhm.
It's just, that's just what it's called.
Yeah, it's good clarification.
Yeah.
Yep. The second item, 11.2, is a solar project study for $12,000. This has also received a lot of conversation questions at our various meetings coming up. So I'm going to try to summarize that and basically steal the words of Michael Doctor from a previous meeting, and he's here tonight too. If I misspeak or you want to add anything, Michael. So the intent of these funds is to get us started on a feasibility study, basically for a solar project for the landfill. The money that's being requested would be split. Basically, half of it goes to Eversource just for an application fee. And then the balance would be to come up with an actual plan, design framework, if you will, for what that might look like. Ultimately, this needs to go to the Conservation Commission. So right now we're running with estimated numbers. We believe them to be extremely, well, I shouldn't say extremely, we believe them to be conservative. And what I mean by that is we're not utilizing the entire landfill land area. We're basing numbers on saying maybe roughly a 50% usage. Because ultimately conservation needs to come in. They can't come in until we have this actual plan in place to present to them. And then they may indeed say that, no, actually, we're comfortable. You could actually utilize more of that land. But the intent is that if this project were to be successful for the town of Hadley, it would actually generate revenue on an ongoing annual basis. So we're looking at this $12,000 as an investment, kind of seed money, to see if that's something that we can do. A lot of questions have arisen when people have heard about it and saying, why the landfill? We've got all these roofs, we have, public properties, we have this wonderful parking lot. Why can't we do what UMass did? If you've been on campus and see that they've got solar panels erected directly above parking spaces. And I think, the most simplistic response to that comes back to economies of scale. There's actually quite a bit of land at that landfill. And if we would wind up having to cobble together a lot of different parcels in order to even approach what the landfill in its own right could generate. So it's not that, it's a no-go on those ideas. It's just that this seems to be kind of one-stop shopping and a logical place for us to start. The other thing is that with the landfill, the state is very much incenting people to do projects on landfills. So as a result of that, there are more incentives available to us if we're to look at the landfill property. And we believe a conservative estimate is that, we could generate as much as, be net positive $80,000 of revenue a year. I mean, that's going to ebb and flow based on usage and production, but again, $12,000 right now to see if we can make this happen seems like money well spent for the town of Hadley. Anything I missed? Okay, well, thank you, because I wasn't here, but I watched your presentation, so. Okay, so that's the solar project study. And then lastly, the town administrator search firm. Again, we already have this search underway for the next town administrator. And that $15,000 is an estimate, but we believe it's a decent estimate of what, once we do hire the actual firm, where that price tag is going to come in. And that's what we're requesting. So any questions on Article 11? Okay.
Article 12 is to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $60,000 from the certified general fund free cash to the employee compensated time fund or take any other action relative thereto. We have 4 long-term employees retiring, and this will cover the money we need to pay out to them for their benefits that they have accrued over time. Cover it.
Yep.
Do I have this one? I do.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So Article 13, we're looking to see if the town will vote to appropriate $350,000 from the stabilization fund for ambulance services budget, with such expended amounts to be refunded from the ambulance receipts reserve fund by a vote at a future town meeting. So basically, for those of you who have attended previous town meetings, you'll be aware of the fact that we requested seed money, if you will, to start up our own in-house ambulance service. There's a process to that. These things don't happen overnight. So we continue to enjoy excellent service from a third party, Action EMS. They have been with us since we switched over from utilizing the town of Amherst. So six years. Yep. And what we're looking to do is bring online the basic, so that's the yellow ambulance that you see that's pictured right here. That is now up and operating. But the intent is to build this out so eventually we can provide our own ALS service as well. And there's the reason that we refer to ambulance receipts to be voted at a future town meeting is this is a classic situation of we need to spend the money now to make the investment to build it out so that we can then access that revenue that will eventually come in fully to the town of Hadley. This is a multi-year plan. Again, it's not happening overnight. Our fire chief has been working on this, well, been working on it for probably the better part of a decade. But I mean, we really just started this plan about a year ago. We're now, Mike, we have the license. Yeah, so we had to get through the process to get the BLS. There are time constraints around that. You have to have it in service for X amount of time before you can then move to the next level. So we are currently generating some amount of revenue through the BLS service. And this $350,000 we're asking to get us through the next phase. And ultimately we'll be presenting a broader plan to town meeting at a future date to show when those revenues will start coming in earnest.
So I would just like to add that when we had ambulance service from Amherst, we paid them $350,000 a year for service and got nothing back. This, we will be getting the money back and reimbursing our own town for it.
The goal is ultimately to bring in more of
than
that revenue and not strictly have a third party vendor relationship. And again, Action's been doing a great job, and there will be a transition plan, and they're very much a part of that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Article 14.
Article 14, a prudent investor rule. To see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of MGLC 44 paragraph or chapter 54B to allow town trust funds to be invested in accordance with MGLC 203C, the so-called prudent investor rule. That means that we're letting the town, we have to do this every year, and we're seeing if the town can invest their trust funds so that we make as much money without going in risk.
The only alteration is that we don't have to do this every year. This is a one-time adjustment. but it's
One-time adjustment.
So that the treasurer can invest trust funds to the greatest benefit of the town.
Okay, thank you. Article 15 is the acceptance of Adair Place as a public way. Builders use roads or build roads when they're making a development. And when the development is finished, then they ask the town to accept the road, which means we are responsible for the road. And at this point, we would like to accept Adair Place as a public way, and the select board recommended this with Molly's vote 5-0. So
All good there? Okay, Article 16, townwide speed limit adoption. So this article is to allow the town to put relatively few speed limit signs that will say townwide speed limit 25 miles per hour, except if posted otherwise. So we have thickly settled or business districts where, I mean, people are going too fast everywhere, but there's too many of these areas that to put signs in, it would cost an exorbitant amount of money. So if we post them at strategic locations at entrances to the town, then we can do away with having to put them everywhere. And if anybody goes up Route 47 to Sunderland, the first thing you see on your right is townwide speed limit 25 miles an hour. And immediately after that is speed limit 40 miles an hour on this road. So the police department believes this will allow them to address speeders in any area where there may not be a sign at this time. Did I do all right, Chief Administrator?
You did fantastic. Articles 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, I think. I don't know, Jim Maximowski is on, and then also after that, Mr. Dwyer, I think, can handle the zoning, but
I think Mr. Dwyer is going to handle everything this evening.
Mr. Dwyer, are you willing to handle all of those articles?
I think I can. I don't see Jim on here, so bring him on. I've listened to enough of this to
All right, so your Article 17 is the explanation of the bylaw amendment for waste in streets.
So as I understand it, the main issue here, let me just get over to the text of it, is that people have developed a bad habit of throwing their yard waste into the street and hoping the town will collect it one way or the other. And we don't generally do that. We do if it is a town tree, but if it is your branches or your leaves or whatever, we don't want it and we aren't really set up to collect it. So the idea here is just to make that, just to prohibit it explicitly so that we can have a chat with the violators.
Bill, can I add one thing to that? Just having sat through these presentations too, I think one of the other talking points that has been raised, that Jim has answered is, if we just look at the picture, there's a lot of concern about people, whether it's the homeowner or a hired landscaper, kind of blowing debris into the roadway. And one of the questions that came up is who's responsible, the landscaper or the actual property owner? And I believe that this bylaw makes it clear that it's the owner and that they would then have to deal with the landscaper.
Correct. It is a bylaw that affects property owners. So if it's an incidental, I'm going to assume this is a freshly mowed street. If someone comes back and blows the grass off the street, then we're all fine. No harm, no foul. If it is a situation, I understand, I've never ridden a motorcycle, but I understand that loose grass in the street can be a hazard to motorcyclists. So the idea is we don't want to just let this become a habit.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes,
Sorry, go up there.
it'd be best if you came up.
Stephen Mumble, 1 West Street. And Mr. Becom says the town maintains the dike. Not the physical structure, they do that, but mowing. And it is private property in certain areas. Most of the dike is public property. Is the town saying that they will no longer be responsible for brush and grass maintenance on private property? And this relates to 1 West Street where it is private property, the dike.
Okay.
So it runs counter to what Bill is saying.
Right, and it just happens, I see our DPW director in the back seat over there. So Scott, did you hear the question? So you currently are maintaining the brush, et cetera, along the dike, right, for preservation purposes? And some of that, it sounds like, is private property as well as public
Well, the
property.
whole dike is private property in that segment.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Sure.
We're talking about yard waste in our streets. I don't know how this pertains to that.
Well, we were talking about yard waste, the town dealing with private yard waste.
Mhm.
And maintaining the dike technically kind of the article piece.
I understand you.
Make sure that
Yeah.
they're separate issues and what's being proposed is the town will not do that. Allow for non-maintenance of the night.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I want to confirm with Scott, right? There's no change to your current maintenance program. That's got nothing to do with this article, correct?
Correct.
You're gonna continue to
Correct.
mow all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine.
That we always did what we can reach with our equipment.
Mhm.
Right now,
Mhm.
we're broke down as you all know.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for asking.
Okay.
So regarding Article 18, I understand that an elected constable has full police powers in Massachusetts, but has no obligation to go through the required training that a police officer would go through. So the idea here is to have the constables become appointed, and the presumably the select board and the police chief in conference can decide who is an appropriate appointee and not really leave it as an issue to be voted in public.
All right, those the last three, I believe, are much more up your alley.
But
Bill.
much more. So this Article 19 deletes a paragraph in Section 17, which refers to a paragraph refers to a entire bylaw section that was deleted several years ago. So it is the purest of housekeeping. We're just picking up a cobweb, knocking it out. Accessory dwelling units. The Great and General Court has decreed that accessory dwelling units up to 900 square feet, or I believe it's half the area of the primary structure, whichever is less, are to be allowed by right in all districts that allow residential development. We do have an accessory apartment bylaw that allows for attached accessory apartments. We have not previously allowed detached accessory apartments, but the new regulation, the new amendment to Chapter 40A, the Zoning Act, says that we must. So we are tweaking our existing accessory apartment bylaw to incorporate accessory dwelling units, whether attached or detached. And the graphic provides a good example. Now, what we have been learning over time is that not every lot in Hadley is going to accommodate either an attached or a detached accessory dwelling unit, because the enabling state law was purely an amendment to Chapter 40A, the Zoning Act, and in no way amends the building code, the electrical code, the plumbing code, or the sanitary code. So we're just going to have to see how this plays out. But what we are doing is bringing ourselves into compliance with a mandatory state ruling.
Bill, in the table that you show here, what does the P stand for in the district under all the various zones?
P is,
Yep.
Well, I'm actually not seeing it in, let me go to the.
Is it permitted or that you have to go to the planning board?
P is permitted.
Okay.
What we have created is an administrative review. We did that at the request of the building inspector. so that before he issues the building permit, we would have a chance to look at whether the proposal complies with both the bylaw and other existing portions of the bylaw, such as setbacks, whether there is evidence, whether the septic system is adequate. So we're just going to take a look at it, but it is not a special permit. It is just an administrative review.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll see if the AG likes it or not. That may be considered too restrictive, so we'll see. This is in the nature, Article 21 was in the nature of a petition article. For administrative purposes, we agreed to submit it to the warrant. It is a proposal to enlarge the senior housing overlay district by adding a new section bounded on the south by Route 9, on the north by Rocky Hill Road, on the west by North Maple Street, and on the east by Route 116. The proposal is brought forward on behalf of Barry Roberts, who apparently has an agreement with the Babb family for the development of what is currently farmland at the intersection of Rocky Hill Road and North Maple Street. And it'll be pretty much on Mr. Roberts and his attorney, Mr. Reedy, to make the case for this. On the prior two articles, the planning board voted 5-0 to recommend. On this article, we voted not to make a recommendation, which is an option we have if the public hearing is conducted more than 30 days before the town meeting. And we usually do not make a recommendation on petition articles. We leave it up to the developer to make his case.
Can we put the map, it's the actual map behind here instead of what's there now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions on the zoning articles for Mr. Dwyer?
Nope.
Okay. If not, then that's a wrap. So that's our special town meeting warrant. A couple of things. Do want to make sure that if anyone is interested or in need of special accommodations, you can contact the Office of the Select Board. Jennifer will take care of that. We do intend to have ASL, American Sign Language interpreters, at the meeting. So that's already in place. And yep, the meeting is at 7 o'clock a week from tomorrow, the 14th, Hopkins Academy. And the only thing I want to mention is that I don't have the exact numbers, but in speaking with our clerk, Jessica Spanknable, I believe the turnout at the election on Tuesday, 80% of the voters, which is about 3,300 people, I think, if that's the right number. I think we have close to 4,000 registered voters. So no pressure, but it would be wonderful if we exceed capacity and have to reschedule. So 200 maybe to 3,300. So hopefully some folks are energized around elections, and we'll see you on the 14th. Okay. That's it. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Amy, seconded by Randy. David Phil is on, so we will do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Phil,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Nevin Smith.
Yes.
And Parsons.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.